Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this. Institutional Investor 2.0 back in 2022 said, once the lawsuit ends, you need to hold your XRP for the next 3 months. And that makes more sense today than it did back then. Because once the SEC comes out and says that the Rippleverse SEC case is now done and over with, it's going to take about 3 months to get a good idea on where we go from here. I think it's going to take that period of time to understand that the institutional wave is hitting XRP. And a lot of those NDAs that we don't know about can become public statements going forward. But I think it's also to let XRP recover from the 4-year lawsuit as well. It has not fully recovered yet. You honestly think at $2 and change, XRP made a full recovery? Absolutely not. It should be much higher already. And Peter Brand says, hey crypto hodlers, how safe is your Ledger Nano X? It might be safe from a hack, but is it safe from a Ledger employee up to no good? I've got a friend, his Nano was hacked for all his Bitcoin and others by someone using his seed phrases with a new device. Seed phrases were not on his computer. Nano drive remained in his possession. What other conclusion could you come up with other than it was an inside job at Ledger? I'm open to ideas. I could tell you right now, this was most likely not Ledger at all. The person probably bought the Ledger Nano X on Amazon. And I'm going to tell you right now, do not buy a Ledger or a Decent wallet or any other wallet on Amazon. Buy it directly from Decent, from Ledger, or whatever wallet company that you're deciding to go with. As far as Decent, I have a link down below that can save you some money on a Decent wallet. I would never buy off of Amazon, and I don't suggest you to do it at all. Because they're going to sit in a warehouse, and any Amazon employee that understands what that device is, what a Decent wallet is, what a Ledger wallet is, they're definitely going to get those seed phrases. Then later, you order it, it shows up, you buy crypto, you store it on there, and they end up stealing your crypto. But there's no way that I think Ledger is behind this. Blackrock CEO just dropped a bombshell. Larry Fink says the US dollar could lose its status as the world's reserve currency to digital assets. But is he really talking about Bitcoin? Or is there another game at play? I mentioned this just the other day. But Coldo actually went into detail, and everything he says is what I was thinking all along. Fink's words are huge. If the dollar's global dominance is at risk, the biggest question is, what replaces it? Everyone's looking at Bitcoin, but what if the US has an ace up its sleeve and it's not Bitcoin? I could tell you right now, it's not Bitcoin. You cannot transact with Bitcoin. It sucks. The media focuses on Bitcoin because it's the easy headline, but follow the real moves. BlackRock's head of digital assets is ex-Ripple employee Robbie Mitchnick. Greg Phillips, ex-BlackRock, is on Ripple's board. Rosie Rios, ex-US Treasury, is on Ripple's board. Coincidence? I don't think so. But the reason the mainstream media is shilling Bitcoin, it's because the same big bag holders are paying for that to happen. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Mitchnick is scrubbing Ripple from his LinkedIn. Why erase your past at Ripple unless something massive is happening behind the scenes? The real battle isn't about Bitcoin versus the US dollar. It's about control. Bitcoin is decentralized. No government can control it. XRP, built for regulatory compliance, fits right into the banking system. It's because for years, the Bitcoin maxis always put Bitcoin against the banks. Bitcoin's going to replace the banks. It's going to replace the US dollar. Whereas Ripple went out there and said, hey, we want to work with the banks. We want to fix the banking system. We want to strengthen the US dollar. And that's why Ripple always has a seat at the table. And that's why XRP will be integrated to move the world's money. If the US is planning for a digital future, they need something that works with international banking rules, meets ESG, environmental, social, governance standards, can give money instantly across borders. XRP checks every box. But I think the US is going to utilize RLUSD as the digital dollar. They're going to utilize XRP to move that digital dollar around the world. And meanwhile, the ECB is trashing Bitcoin. They say Bitcoin is slow, expensive, and mostly used for illicit transactions. Call it a speculative bubble with no fundamental value, and claim it's not a serious investment. But notice, they're not saying this about XRP. No, because the ECB, the BIS, the IMF, they all see XRP as the future and Bitcoin as the past. If Fink really believed Bitcoin would replace the dollar, why isn't BlackRock putting a Bitcoin maxi in charge of digital assets? Instead, they put an ex-Ripple executive at the top. Ripple isn't just another crypto company. Look at who's behind it. U.S. Treasury officials, ex-Federal Reserve executives, ties to the IMF, World Bank, and BIS, direct connection to the U.S. intelligence community, and the list goes on and on. But, you know, I think BlackRock knows this already, and there's a reason why Larry Fink does not talk about XRP. Brad, over at Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, has mentioned BlackRock very few times, and usually around an ETF or maybe what BlackRock is saying out there around regulations or something. But why? Why don't they talk about XRP at BlackRock? I'm telling you, the elites know what's coming. Larry Fink is here for the digital shift to happen. He's here because he wants to capitalize when we move from the current financial system into the digital system. Founder of TechCrunch on XRP, our very first closing was over $50 million, and we moved that money in 3 seconds with XRP. And it costs like 20 or 30 cents to move that $50 million or something like $1 million. Bitcoin and Ether can't compare to that. Why are they always starting with $50 million? Because Arlington Capital also moved $50 million utilizing XRP, and they did it in a few seconds, and it cost a few cents. I remember that's what he said. But this is actual Ripple XRP users telling you how game-changing XRP actually is. The amount of inbound requests we're getting to meet with large institutions around tokenization products is just astounding. Eric Van Miltenberg, SVP of Strategic Initiatives at Ripple. Take a listen.
Eric, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree. I think using an example of custody, with Ripple Custody, formerly known as Medico, it's working with large institutions and making sure that they can scale. We have tremendous coverage of some of the largest financial institutions in Europe, be it DBS, HSBC, BBVA, Switzerland, and they're trusting us to come in, not only provide custody, but allow them to tokenize and pull it together in one package. So scale is going to happen when some of this fragmentation that we talk about it kind of is removed. We almost want this. We almost want this to be kind of boring. It should be really clear. It's not like taking a front seat and you spend half the time you meet with a customer just explaining the technology and why they shouldn't be worried about it, but you're really focusing on the benefits, the real world utility that the solution brings. And without that, it's going to be, it's a slog. And I do feel it's getting better. Again, the amount of inbound requests we're getting to meet with large institutions around tokenization products is just astounding vis-a-vis a year ago. And I think being able to again bring those things together in a very kind of frictionless way is what's really going to allow the real scale to thrive.
Like I said, the demand for XRP is rising, and tokenization, it's only going to pick up momentum from here. And that's going to start to happen very quick when it happens. They want to tokenize everything. Everything you could ever think of is going to become a tokenized asset on a blockchain. Brad Garlinghouse said this: in the largest study ever of crypto in the United States, the National Crypto Association found that 21% of Americans hold crypto. 76% of them said it has a positive impact on their lives. That's why organizations like the NCA are so important, spotlighting the practical, everyday use cases possible through crypto. And the fact that 21% of Americans hold crypto, it's like that number keeps rising, but it's rising very little right now. Later, all of a sudden, you're going to see 50% of Americans now hold crypto, because there's going to be so many new investors coming into this space. Once the banks start offering crypto, once the price of XRP really starts to break out, that's going to onboard a lot of people. But they also need to be educated. People need to learn what crypto is. Not everybody out there is a gambler or a visionary like we are, because we seen the vision years ago and we got into crypto. Some people, they have to know everything about it before they put their money into it. But once they get here, they start to realize that only a handful of cryptocurrencies actually fix problems in the real world. And there's a lot of cryptocurrencies in this space that do absolutely nothing. And the fact that 76% of them said it has a positive impact on their lives, I could see that. Because once you get invested in the crypto, it becomes part of your life. You're just waiting for that big moment to happen. You're waiting for that breakout to happen. Wait until you make a shit ton of money off of your investment. That's going to change your life forever. Because now it's going to open up so many more possibilities for you. You want to be a business owner, you now have the money to get started. You want to make passive income. Now you have that crypto backing to lead you to passive income. People that never invested into crypto and they're going to onboard later, they're going to have a lot of regrets. They're going to regret not getting into crypto sooner. But right now, XRP is still very undervalued. All of these utility-driven cryptocurrencies are very undervalued right now. But that time is coming to an end, and you could already see the digital shift happening. Xaman processes $1 billion in XRP payments in Q1 2025. Xaman wallet they are great. They're on the XRP ledger. I don't utilize it. I would rather just store my own crypto. In other words, I have to have some on ledger, someone decent, and I just don't like the fact of holding it there. But it is safe. I mean, I've heard all kinds of people tell me that Xaman is absolutely incredible. But this shows you that there's a lot of traction going on the XRP ledger as well. Because Xaman processed over $1 billion in XRP payments alone in just 3 months. Swapping is easier than ever. Activity saw lots of growth, and 100,000 plus new users joined the best Web3 wallet. 4.0 supercharged onboarding, and it will only get faster. So it looks like they're also doing a major upgrade as well. But I just wanted to point that out because this shows you that a lot of transactions are already happening. And Fidelity launches retirement plan with direct crypto investments. And look at what they chose: Bitcoin, ETH, and Litecoin. Hopefully they start adding other cryptocurrencies as well, because I honestly would never put a retirement plan into Bitcoin. Not with all the things we know about Bitcoin today. And ETH, that's another one. Why don't they offer XRP, ADA, USA-made cryptocurrency options available for moving your retirement plan to crypto? But again, this will onboard new people to crypto over time. And this is what Jack Dorsey said about Bitcoin. He said, Bitcoin fails to be by being irrelevant. It becomes irrelevant if it's only a store of value and not used for everyday payments. It already failed in as far as payments, and it is going to become irrelevant over time. People don't like to buy and just hold something. They want their cryptocurrency to actually do something. They want to be able to transact in it without it taking a long period of time and being very expensive. But he says it's going to become irrelevant in the future. Sounds a lot like Christine Lagarde. And this is always going to be a ticking time bomb to Bitcoin. Congress speaks very poorly about Tether's USDT. Take a listen.
Separately, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick has deep involvement and connection to the cryptocurrency Tether, a digital asset widely known for its role in facilitating illicit activity. His close connection with the scandal-ridden coin raises serious conflict of interest concerns and questions about his ability to put the interests of the federal government and the American people before his own.
I like that she called out Lutnick as well, because his ties to Tether also bother me. And she called out Tether for what it is. She said it's used for illicit activity, and his involvement with Tether is a problem. So I know right now, once they come out with stablecoin regulations, they are regulating Tether out of the United States. It's a ticking time bomb. So all these people that park their retirement funds in Bitcoin, what happens when Tether collapses and takes Bitcoin with it? I think they're onboarding a lot of people to Bitcoin. I think the mainstream media news is also doing it. I think even the US government, a handful of people at the government, like Loomis and a few others, are also onboarding people to Bitcoin. But I think it's only so that they can cash out their bags. Retail's going to be left holding the bag when it comes crashing down. And a lot of people are going to get trapped in Bitcoin for a very long time. And a lot of other people are going to lose a lot of money when it happens. And that's why XRP will always be a better investment than Bitcoin. XRP from here is going to be fully adopted around the world. It's going to experience institutional adoption and mass adoption. You're never going to see mass adoption of Bitcoin, no matter how many times they try to sell it on the mainstream media news. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.